everybody, my name is Holly. Thank you for joining me for today's yoga. Today we're going to be working into the side bodies. This is a good practice to do in the morning. We're really going to be waking up the spine and working into the side body if you're feeling a little bit stiff after waking up. So we're going to start today in a comfortable seated position. If anybody would like to use props in their practice, I do have a block and I'll show you where you can use it, but you don't need to use it if you've got a regular practice and you feel fairly comfortable with the moves that we're going to be doing today. If anyone's working with any injuries, just be mindful. If something doesn't feel good in the body, then just back out of it. So we're going to start cross-legged, if that feels okay for you, or you can sit on your feet if you prefer. Making sure you feel even in the sitting bones and lifting up out of the waist as we drop those shoulders down away from the ears. You can rest your hands in your lap or maybe rest them on the knees. And you can close the eyes or lower the gaze. And we'll just take a moment here to settle onto the mat. Letting go of any thoughts and starting to bring our awareness inwards. Checking in with how the body feels. And bringing our focus to our breath. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Trying to match the length of our inhales and exhales. So if it helps, you can count. If anybody uses your dry breath in their practice, then you're welcome to do that. So that's just constricting the back of the throat so that your breath makes the sound of the ocean. So it's also called ocean breath. And we'll just take 2 more rounds of breath together before we start moving on the mat. So you're welcome to keep your eyes closed here if you want to. And then we're going to walk our right fingertips off to the right as our left arm reaches up and over, starting with a side body stretch, keeping that chest open and that left hip down. If anyone wants to, you can come down onto the elbow and deepen the stretch, reaching those left fingertips away from you. Inhaling to come back through to center, and then walking those left fingertips off to the left as the right arm reaches up and over, keeping that right hip down, reaching through those right fingertips. And then inhaling as we come back through to center, coming into our tabletop pose, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We'll warm up the spine with some cat-cow. So on an inhale, we're going to drop the belly, tailbone lifts, chest comes forward. Exhale, chin to chest, rounding through the upper back. 3 more times, inhaling, tailbone lifts. Exhale to round and contract. Inhale, belly drops, chest comes forward. Exhaling as we round. And our final time. And after our exhale, coming into a neutral spine. So we'll bring our right foot towards the back of the mat, tuck those toes under and push through the heel. And then taking our right foot all the way over to the left, pushing through that heel, opening up down the right side of the body, maybe taking your gaze over that left shoulder so we can see the right toes behind us. And then coming back through to our tabletop pose, bringing our left foot towards the back of the mat, tucking the toes, pushing through the heel. And then taking our left foot all the way over to the right side, pushing through that heel, maybe taking our gaze over that right shoulder so we can see the left toes behind us. And then releasing from here back into our tabletop pose and coming to stand on our knees and facing the long edge of the mat. So we'll bring our right leg out to the right with our toes and knee pointing towards the long edge of the mat. Resting our right hand on the right thigh and reaching our left arm up towards the ceiling. We're coming into gate pose. On an exhale, We're bending towards that straight leg, opening up down the left side of the body, reaching through those left fingertips. Inhale to lift that chest, and then taking our left hand down to the mat and reaching those right fingertips up towards the ceiling, pressing down through that right foot. And then taking our right arm up and over the right ear, reaching through those right fingertips, feeling that stretch all the way down the right side. And inhale to release and lift the chest. And then bringing our right knee back down onto the mat. We'll step our left foot out to the left, toes and knees pointing to the long edge of the mat. Inhale as we lift our right arm, exhale, side bend over towards that straight leg. Feeling that opening down the right side of the body, into the right side waist. Inhaling as we lift, and then taking our right hand down to the mat, left arm reaches up towards the ceiling, maybe taking your gaze with it, pressing down through that left foot. And then taking our left arm up and over the left ear, reaching through those left fingertips. And then inhaling to lift that chest, and then bringing our left knee back onto the mat. And we'll come back to face the long edge of the mat, bringing our wrists underneath the shoulders, taking our feet to the back of the mat, tucking the toes, lifting the knees. We're in our plank pose. You can lower your knees down for support if you want to. On an exhale, we're just going to bend at the elbows and lower all the way down to the mat, coming into Sphinx pose. So bringing our elbows underneath the shoulders, pressing down through the palms of the hands and the tops of the feet, reaching that chest forward. And then exhale to lower the chest. We're bringing our hands wider than the mat, tenting those fingertips and taking those elbows to point up towards the ceiling. On an inhale, we're going to lift the chest, coming into a wide cobra. So only go as far as feels comfortable in your spine. And exhaling as we lower the chest, bringing our hands back underneath the shoulders and pushing up onto our knees, so we're back in our tabletop pose. And then just taking our hips from side to side to release the lower back. And we'll make our way into our first downward facing dog. So tucking those toes, exhale, send that tailbone high. If you want to warm up the backs of the legs, you can pedal out the feet, so bending into one knee, dropping the opposite heel down towards the mat. Finding length in the spine here. Pressing down through those fingertips, gazes towards the back of the mat. On our next inhale, bending into the knees, taking our gaze towards the top of the mat and walking our feet up towards our hands, coming into our ragdoll fold. Feet to hip width distance apart, catching a hold of opposite elbows with the hands and letting the crown of the head hang heavy towards the mat. Maybe swaying gently from side to side, keeping a bend in those knees if you need to, releasing all the way down the back of the body. And then releasing our fingertips down to the mat. You can give a generous bend in those knees if you need to. And we're going to take our left leg all the way over to the right, so it's behind the right leg. Keeping a bend into that right knee and try and straighten in to the left leg and push to that left hip as we walk our hands over to the right. So we're opening up down the left side of the body and into the IT bend. And then walking our hands back through to center and releasing that left foot. We're going to take our right leg over to the left, keeping a bend into the left knee as we straighten into the right leg and walking our hands over to the left, pushing through that right hip, opening up down the right side of the body. If it's too much to keep that back leg straight, you can keep a slight bend into that knee. And then walking our hands back through to centre and releasing that right leg back. And then pressing through the feet, we're going to slowly roll all the way up the spine, bringing our shoulders up towards the ears and then rolling them back and down. And we'll start to flow. Inhale to circle our arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, taking those hands out wide, diving down over the body. Inhale into our half lift, flat back, reaching that crown of the head away from the tailbone. Exhaling as we fold, plant the palms, step back into plank. On an exhale, bend at the elbows, lower all the way down to the mat. Untucking those toes, inhale, lift the chest, cobra. Exhale into lower, making our way into downward facing dog. On our next inhale, lift that right foot up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring that right knee in towards the nose and step that right foot in between the hands. Use your right hand to help you if you need to. Inhale, lift the chest, we're in our high lunge. Squaring off the hips. Hands are shoulder width distance apart. And then bringing our right hand onto our right hip, left arm reaches up and over with side bend over that bent knee. Inhale to lift back through to centre, reaching both arms up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, bring those palms through to heart centre. We're going to straighten into this front leg, hop that back foot in, plant the heel down, hips facing forward. Inhale as we lift, exhale, coming down into our flat back. If anyone wants to go deeper, on an exhale, we're going to fold over this straight leg, coming into our pyramid pose. If you need to use a block here, you can use a block to help plug the gap between the hands and the floor. On an inhale, take a slight bend into that front knee and lift the chest. We're going to step our right foot back slightly to widen the stance and turn our hips and chest to the long edge of the mat. Arms out at shoulder height, reaching that right arm forward. Exhale, coming into triangle pose. Using that block if you want to. Making sure we get that lift with the left hand and our left shoulder's rolling back, chest is open. Maybe reaching this left arm overhead, taking a deeper side stretch. If you want to work the core, we can bring our right arm up, really work into the core there. On an inhale, lifting the chest, heel toe in this back foot to widen the stance, bending into that right knee, arms out at shoulder height, we're in our warrior two. And then turning our right palm so it's facing up towards the ceiling, tracking the back hand down the back leg, inhaling, lifting into our reverse warrior, keeping that deep bend into that front knee. On an exhale, we're going to release and cartwheel these hands up and over, frame that front foot, stepping back into plank pose. We can move through a vinyasa, so exhale into chaturanga all the way down, inhaling into our cobra or upward facing dog, exhaling, downward facing dog. We'll do that sequence on the left side, inhaling, lift that left foot up towards the ceiling, exhaling, knee to nose, stepping that left foot in between the hands, using that left hand if you need to, inhaling to lift into our high lunge. Keeping a bend in that back knee if you need to. And if you feel any pinching in the lower back, just tuck in that pelvis under and engaging the lower abs. Bringing our left hand onto the waist, reaching right arm up and over, taking a side body stretch. Inhaling to lift both arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring palms together and down through to the heart. We're straightening into this front leg, hopping back foot in, planting the heel down, squaring off those hips. Inhaling to lift out the waist, exhaling, folding down halfway. On our next exhale, if you want to, you can release down. Using those blocks if you need to. On an inhale, slight bend into that left knee as we lift the chest. We're widening our stance by stepping this right foot back slightly. Our hips and chest are now facing the long edge of the mat, arms out at shoulder height. We're coming into our triangle pose, reaching that left arm forward, exhaling to take the left hand down, right arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Use that block to rest your left hand on if you need to. And then reaching that right arm up and over the ear, deepening into that side body stretch. If anyone wants to work the core, you can reach your left arm up alongside the ear. On an inhale, we'll release, lift the chest, widen the stance by heel toeing that back foot out, arms out shoulder height, so we're in our warrior two. And then transitioning into reverse warrior, so turning the left palm up towards the ceiling, tracking back hand down the back leg. Inhale as we lift the left hand up towards the ceiling. Still keeping that deep bend into that left leg. On our next exhale, we'll release, cartwheeling those hands up and over. Frame that front foot, stepping left foot back, we're in our plank pose, move through a vinyasa. Exhaling to chaturanga all the way down. Inhaling into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhaling into our downward facing dog. And then walking our hands back towards our feet. Bending into knees, pressing to the feet and rolling all the way up to stand. On an inhale, circling our arms up towards the ceiling, holding on to the right wrist with the left hand. Inhale to lift out the waist, exhaling, taking a side body stretch. Inhale to come back through to center, release the grip, holding on to the left wrist with the right hand. Inhale to lift out the waist, exhaling, side body stretch. Inhale to come back through to center, exhaling, swan dive those hands down, coming into our forward fold, walking our hands out into our downward facing dog, and then releasing those knees down to the mat. Bringing big toes together, knees slightly apart, or you can take them wider if you want to work into the hips, releasing that chest forward, arms along the mat. And then walking our hands over to the left, keeping that right hip down. We're opening into the right side of the body. And then walking our hands back through to center, and then over to the right, opening into the left side of the body. Keep that left hip down. And then walking our hands back through to center and inhaling as we lift the chest. We're going to turn to the long edge of the mat and bring our legs out wide. We're going to bring our right hand to the inside of our right leg and reach our left arm up and over for a stretch. If anyone needs to keep a bend into this left knee and bring that foot in towards you, you're welcome to do that. Inhaling to lift, exhaling, taking a side body stretch. Keeping that left shoulder rolling back, chest is open towards the ceiling, and keeping that left hip down. in to lift the chest. This time bringing left hand to the inside of the left thigh. You can bend into that right knee if you need to. Inhaling to lift out the waist, exhaling, reaching that right arm up and over, taking a side body stretch. Keep that right shoulder rolling back. Inhaling to lift the chest, holding onto the outside of the thighs, gently bringing those legs back in towards each other, and then turning so that we're back on our mat. Bringing our right sole of the foot to the inside of the left leg. Keep the left leg out long. Inhale, reach those arms up towards the ceiling and lift out the waist. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Taking a fold over the left leg. Bringing those hands wherever is comfortable. Inhaling to lift the chest, bringing our right hand onto the mat behind us. On an inhale, we're going to come onto the right knee, the right shin, as we point those left toes down to the mat. Lift the hips, reaching left arm behind us, coming into baby wild thing. Reaching those left fingertips away from the left toes. Exhaling, lowering those hips back down. Bringing right leg out long. Bringing left sole of the foot to the inside of the right thigh. Inhale, reach those arms up towards the ceiling. Lift and lengthen out the waist. Exhale, hinge from the hips as we fold over the right leg. Bringing those hands wherever is comfortable. Inhaling to release, lift the chest. Bring our left hand on the mat behind us. On an inhale, we're going to come onto the left knee, left shin, point the right toes down to the mat, lift the hips, reaching those right fingertips away from the right toes. Exhale to lower the hips, bringing the left leg out long. Right knee comes in towards the chest and stepping that right foot across the left leg. Holding on to the right thigh with the left hand, so wrapping that left arm around the right thigh. Right fingertips behind us, coming into a twist. Drawing that belly in towards the spine. Maybe taking your gaze over the right shoulder. And we'll release from here, turning our chest back through to centre, releasing the right leg out long. Left knee in towards the chest, stepping the left foot to the outside of the right thigh, wrapping our right arm around the left leg, bringing left fingertips behind us. Inhale to lift, exhale to twist. And release from here, coming back through to centre, releasing that left leg, scooting our hips forward so we got enough room behind us, bringing our arms out long and slowly rolling all the way down the spine until we bring our shoulders and heads down on the mat. And then releasing our legs out long and bringing our arms up overhead. We're going to keep our torso and hips where they are, but we're going to start to walk our feet over to the left corner of the mat as we bring our arms over to the left corner of the mat. So we're opening to the right side. You might want to hold on to the right wrist with the left hand and gently hold on to it to open up into that right shoulder, and maybe cross the right ankle over the left ankle, deepening that opening down the right side of the body. then release from here, coming back through to centre, and then taking our feet over to the right corner of the mat, and then taking our arms over to the right corner of the mat. Opening up down the left side this time, maybe holding onto the left wrist with the right hand, maybe crossing left ankle over right ankle. And then releasing, coming back through to centre, bringing those knees in towards the chest, and then holding onto the shins with the hands, maybe rocking gently from side to side, releasing the lower back. And then option here to hold onto the back of the thighs and roll up and down the spine to seated, or you can roll to one side and use your hands to support you to come up to seated. And then coming into cross-legged, bringing our hands in our lap or resting them on the knees. Close the eyes or lower the gaze. Checking in with how the body is feeling. Do you feel a little bit more open to how you felt when you got on the mat? And then bring our palms together through to the heart. Give yourselves a little thank you for taking time to get on the mat today. Bowing our forehead to our fingertips. Thank you, and thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the practice, and I'll see you next time. Bye.